myself. I didn't want to do that. But, okay, so now I'm streaming live on YouTube.
Okay, that's fine.
And can I mute myself? Screen. Okay.
Hey, Joanne.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm fine. Trying to get this sort of where to sit up.
It's just hard to get everything working right, isn't it? It is for me, I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm so narrow. I don't understand why I'm narrow and y'all are long. Must be to keep my body thin or something.
I need that then. How's things going over in Trenton?
I guess everything's quiet. I don't hear a lot.
Yeah. Is there any place over there that sells like wooden swings, like an Amish store or anything, or close by that would sell something like that?
There used to be a guy named Glick, and
Yes.
he had a business that sold wooden swings and things out on North Main in Hoptown, but I don't think he's there anymore.
We actually bought one of his big play sets for our kids. Golly, that's probably 7 or 8 years ago. And it's held up real well, but yeah, I don't think he's in business any longer.
Yeah, we have one. I bought one for my grandson several years ago, but there's also some of those same type of items on Wilma Rudolph in Clarksville.
Okay.
And you can go in like you're going towards Clarksville from Wilma Rudolph, and it's over on the left, and you see some of the wood things there, but they're the only things I see now.
Okay.
There is an Amish family out here between Trenton and Pembroke, and they do buildings and woodwork type things, but I don't know if you have to order them, because you don't see a lot of those just sitting out there on displays.
Right.
So you might, next time you're this way, you might just check them out.
Okay, I'll do that.
So what are you wanting?
Just a wooden swing, like a 2-person swing,
Okay.
4 foot, 5 foot swing.
Well, I'm sure they can make you one. Just
Yeah.
tell them what you want.
Yeah.
Isn't there a lot of Amish people around Crofton that would do
I think I'm
things
gonna
like that?
drive through there on my way home today just to see.
Is Jill saying something?
Senator Westerfield, good to see you today.
Good to be seen. Jason, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. You not on the bike today?
If I get everything done, and I'm not going to pan the camera down anymore so you can see my desk, but if I can get enough done, I might go this evening or something, but it's not going to happen for a few hours.
Looks like you've been having some real good rides.
I've really gotten to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah.
Looking forward to, I always look forward to getting back out there and going someplace I haven't been before.
Now there's a fairly active group here in Christian County, isn't there?
I've learned that there's one called the Little River Cycling Club.
Mhm.
And there's a Facebook page for that group, but I don't know who is in charge of the group, and I haven't seen an event that they've had or a group ride or anything. But the Bikes and More owner, really cool guy named Jimmy Lancaster,
Yes, I know him.
bought it from Tim Moore, I guess a year or so ago. Jimmy's great. His staff are really great. They're nice guys, and they've got a group ride every Wednesday evening and Saturday morning. I'm taking advantage of all of them I can.
Well, that's great. I appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for making truly just a couple minute spot.
That is perfect. That's perfect.
Hi, Jason. Thought I'd join in a safe manner.
Well, I see you've got your mask on there, Wooldridge. I like that.
I didn't want to give it to any of you.
Can you send some of those masks this direction? I
Yeah,
like that.
I like that mask. That's
Thank you.
nice.
I'll talk to the president and see what we can do.
If it's like every other mask I've acquired in the last few months, it'll be this much too small, and I'll do this everywhere I go.
Exactly. I wear it with because it's just fun to walk into a bank with a mask on.
I've spent a lot of money with Murray State over the years. You think I could get a mask out of the deal?
Well, here, you can have this one.
No, thank you. You keep that one.
I'll send you one over. We may have a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's gonna. I just actually received a text from my wife who is with the school system in Hopkins County. And apparently they've all received an email this morning that the governor maybe is going to make a recommendation this afternoon on schools. And it's sounding like virtual is impending.
Well, under President Jackson's direction, that we have a backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what it is, to go back to fully online. That's not where we want to go. But if we have to, we can pivot quickly to that. And it would probably take something like the governor saying, this is how it shall be, to do that, unless of course we had obviously health issues. But
Right. Well, I mean, we were talking about that in the office this morning about backup plans. You almost have to have that because, things are changing so quickly that you'll have something in place that you feel fairly comfortable with. And then the next thing you know, 5 minutes later, it's changed and you have to revert to that backup plan. And then something's changed. Then
yeah, the start of the week could look a whole lot different than the end of the week. This week, for sure. But we got them moving in, so if that's going to happen, we better do it quick.
Right, correct. Deb, good to see you. You had a great event on Friday.
Hey, yes, thank you. It was huge.
Yes, it was. I was actually, and I'll talk more about this here in a moment after our meeting gets started, but we're planning, or we've been talking about, we always have an industry appreciation event in September, Pride of the Pennyrile, down at Barkley State Park. And I was talking with them earlier, and I referenced your event saying, well, they were able to pull it off and this and that. So we may be taking taking lead from you on how you handled that. So
Well, I'll be glad to help you, Jason,
I
anytime.
appreciate that, because it was very well done.
Thank you.
Senator, what's in that iron bottle you got there drinking from?
That would be the entire one bottle of the entire Kroger supply yesterday of Propel Fitness Water Mandarin Orange flavor.
That was probably
That watermelon in stock.
Lysol that disappeared in Murray yesterday.
Hey, Jason, this is Scott. Can you hear me?
Hey, Scott, I do hear you.
All right, come in. Over.
It's good to hear your voice. Over.
Over.
Sherry also, before we get started, she also just put the link, if you haven't accessed our agenda for today's board meeting, she did put the link in the chat box. So you should be able to access that there. And at that link, you will find both a digital version of our agenda where you can access each agenda item separately, or at the bottom of the page, you can download the entire agenda if you would like. If you didn't get the link before, we have included it there in the chat box.
How about you, Jason? You hear me?
I hear you. Harry, how are things going?
Oh, pretty good, man.
Whitney, did you ride Saturday?
I did. Other than destroying an iPhone case,
Oh,
it was a good ride.
I rode 30 yesterday, but we had a guy get killed in Nortonville on a bicycle yesterday.
Goodness, I hadn't heard that.
I don't think
That's
he
why,
was
that's why I don't,
groceries.
that's why I don't ride, boys.
And you just naturally stay in good shape anyway. Good genes. But I think he was riding with dark clothes, no reflectors, and no lights right at dusk. So,
Ooh, man.
it's a safety note to everybody: if you're out after dark, riding or walking, make sure you can be seen.
Yeah, I don't know any cycling outfit that isn't day glow orange, yellow, green, something
Yeah,
with blinking
good to be
lights.
safe.
And despite my weight loss, I'm not a small target in the first place. So hopefully they can see me coming.
I thought you looked a little thinner, Whitney. It looks good on you. You're gonna have to tell me your secret.
Good genes. That's the excuse going around here on the call. We'll just stick with that one.
Oh, okay.
I had gastric sleeve surgery in October last year.
Okay. So you're hearing better.
Hear me now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
All right, I apologize. I had something wrong with my phone on my end, and I'm sorry that I'm 3 minutes late.
You're fine, Judge. We'll get started here in just a second. I did just want to remind everyone again before we do get started that you can find the link to our board agenda in the chat box. There at that link, you can find both a digital copy of our agenda where you can click on each item individually, or you can also go to the bottom and download the entire agenda as one document. So feel free to access that however you feel appropriate. And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, today we're ready to go ahead and get started.
Jason, thank you. We will call the meeting to order. I'm actually not the chairman. I'm the vice chair. We want to keep Perry and his family in our prayers and our thoughts. I think his mother is dealing with an illness and some family sickness. With that in mind, Wade hadn't got any better looking, but I know he does know the pledge. Wade, would you lead us in the pledge? Wade, would you lead us in the pledge?
Yeah, ready?
Yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag,
For the United States of America,
to the republic
which stands one nation,
under God, indivisible,
under God.
liberty, and justice for all.
Let us pray. Father, we bow before you this day, Lord, just giving you thanks for this day that you've given us. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to gather, even if it's virtual, Lord, by telephone in freedom without any thoughts or chance of retribution, Lord. We thank you for the men and women that have fought and sacrificed and give us that right, Lord. We thank you for each community and each person that's represented on this call today, Lord, and in this meeting. We ask that you open our hearts and our minds, that we make decisions that are not for any selfish reasons, but for the benefit of the entire Penner Isle region, Lord. We ask you all these things in your name. We ask you forgive us where we fail you. Amen. All right. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. You all have a copy of those in front of you. I'll give everybody a few minutes to look over those.
Mayor Cotton, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion.
Second, Todd Mansfield.
Judge Manfield second that. All in favor by signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed by like sign. Hear none. Motion carries. Approval of the financial report. Ms. Sissy Carter.
I don't think Chrissy is on here with us today.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. It was, she had an appointment, but Alicia?
Everybody should have a copy. If you click on the link to the financial report, we should be at 8 1/3% at this point in time of the fiscal year. This is the first month of the fiscal year. On the monthly expenditure report, you will see that we have expended 7.04% of the administrative budget, and all line items are currently within budget. Of course, the travel I do want to mention is extremely low, and that is still due to the COVID-19 travel restrictions. If there are any questions on any of those line items, I'll be glad to address those, Judge.
Does anybody have any questions of Miss Alicia?
Can I ask a question?
Who said that?
This is
Go ahead, Whitney. I'm Senator.
Whitney's fine. I was just curious if that money is being reallocated somewhere, or if at some point you'll decide to reallocate it somewhere.
Are you referring to the travel dollars?
The travel, yes, ma'am.
Yes, that is correct. If those dollars are not expended, we will not draw those down through those grants. That is part of our shared expenditures. The board travel is, the staff travel is a direct expenditure. And as we move throughout the fiscal years, we will do budget modifications to realign if we need to.
Thank you.
Any other questions on the financial report?
I'll make a motion to approve. Lori Harper.
I'll second it. Scott Marshall.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by like sign. Hear none. Motion carries. Our federal and state reports. Is Miss Morgan Alvey on the call?
Yes, I'm here.
Senator Mitch McConnell's office, Morgan Alvey. Thank you, Morgan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First off, I just want to say that the senator had 2 good visits to the Pennyroyal region during last month's recess. He visited Baptist Health Madisonville and Owensboro Health Muhlenberg Community Hospital on July 14th. Both of those went really well. Also, a brief legislative update. A couple of weeks ago, the senator introduced another COVID relief package called the HEALS Act, the Health Economic Assistance Liability Protection in Schools Act. The Senate is still in session as negotiations continue on the provisions of another relief bill. That's really all I have, but I also wanted to remind everyone that if you have any applications for competitive federal grants, our office is always happy to write letters of support on behalf of those applications. That's all I have, and thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate you attending and appreciate the updates. Mr. Corey Elder, U.S. Congressman James Comer's office.
Hello, everyone. Our office is continuing to help people navigate issues with the federal government during COVID-19, including helping constituent casework, helping people get their stimulus checks and their paycheck protection loan, and questions with forgiveness. And we've listened to many businesses throughout the district about how the Paycheck Protection Program has helped them. And Congressman Comer has recently taken on some new responsibilities in Washington. He is the top Republican on the Oversight and Reform Committee, which focuses on overseeing and reforming bureaucracy in Washington. As Morgan mentioned, Congress is in the process of discussing a new coronavirus stimulus package right now and trying to come to agreement between the House and the Senate. And if anyone needs any help or knows of anyone who needs any help with a federal issue, be it their stimulus check or anything with the IRS, please get in touch with me or our office, and we'll connect them with the right people, and we'll try to speed things up for them. Thank you all.
Thank you, Corey. Appreciate that. Appreciate the update. Next up is State Senator Mr. Whitney Westerfield.
Thank you all. I appreciate you making time for a brief update on the state level. I want to thank the Majority Leader and Congressman Comer and Senator Paul, all three, for doing what they're doing on the federal level. We've learned through our committee time and in the interim period here in Frankfort just how much the CARES Act funding has made a difference in a number of different sectors, and you all are all aware of those as well. So I'm grateful for their work. Obviously, the interim, as it is every year, is typically filled with discussion about bills that either didn't make it in this past session or that might show up in the next session, and that's no different. But as you have no doubt seen, and you're certainly unsurprised by it, we've spent a lot of time talking about COVID-19, and that'll continue to be the case. Whether it's the use or the limitation or the need to limit the use of executive orders, or how executive orders have been effective. We've shown some places in committee testimony where our response from a statewide level has been very good. And we've showed obviously some examples where it's been not as ideal. And that's not a criticism. It's because I don't think any of us at just about any level we're as prepared for a pandemic as we wanted to be, from education. And I saw a news alert just a short while ago that the governor and the lieutenant governor are convening this afternoon with school superintendents across the state. I'm betting it has something to do with whether or not they return to in-person school instruction right away, or if that's delayed somewhat. So there are a whole host of issues that we're exploring and learning about, and identifying areas where legislatively come January, we're going to need to fix or maybe codify some of the emergency action the governor has taken, or to limit some of the governor's actions in some respects. Those are all things that we've been talking about. One of the biggest ones, and it's a big deal here, and it is everywhere else in the state, is evictions. And that actually got thrown a curveball just this weekend. If you all didn't notice, the president issued an executive order, or a handful of executive orders, one of which dealt with evictions, which further complicates a really sticky issue here in Kentucky, where we've got a Kentucky Supreme Court order that came out a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, I suppose. I can't remember when, but it was the last week or two, but it was right before the 1st of August. So the Supreme Court of Kentucky said evictions can now proceed, but the governor still has an executive order in place that has a freeze or moratorium on certain eviction or forcible detainer actions. But there's confusion amongst the various district judges and the court itself about how the governor's order is interpreted and what its practical effect is. We're going to continue to take testimony because we're not in session. And you all know that. A lot of constituents are frustrated that we don't appropriate more money or move some bill through or pass something that helps this way and that way. And we wish we could, but we're not there. The other big one that's on our radar is obviously unemployment insurance. As of 2 weeks ago, there were still around 60,000 people in Kentucky who were waiting on an unemployment insurance claim to be honored or met or addressed in some meaningful way. As of about 2.5 weeks ago, that still included just under 5,000 filers from March. And just a week ago, I've got a constituent in the 3rd Senate District that filed actually in February, completely unrelated to COVID. And her claim is still pending. And it got stacked underneath the million different filers since then. We're also doing something that our committees haven't spent a lot of time doing in the past, at least not all committees. And I want to make sure you're all aware of this so that you can contribute. We're taking a look at a lot of regulations that are in state government. In the interim period, the legislature has the power to review regulations. We can't stop a regulation. We can't repeal a regulation when we're not in session. We can't pass anything to stop it. But we want to explore regulations based on feedback from you all, based on feedback from all of us as constituents and taxpayers, as frontline workers in various sectors of the world. If there are regulations that you're familiar with, or that you've got wind of, or that you're dealing with a constituent that's running into an issue and you think there needs to be some review of it, maybe it's antiquated, maybe it's not working the way it was intended, or it's having an ill effect of some kind, let us know. Reach out to your legislator, your state rep or state senator, and take advantage of us. The Penny Royal region is very well served. If I can brag on my colleagues, not so much myself, you're all taking one on chin with me there, but with everybody else, you're very well served, and you've got a lot of committee chairs and co-chairs and vice chairs that can put these issues on agendas of committees to get some scrutiny and attention on things that may otherwise have gone unnoticed. So take advantage of us. I'm proud to serve as Judiciary Chair, and there are issues related to jail and corrections and criminal justice that are going to be just as relevant and impactful on the lives of people in the Penny Royal region as there are on economic development, on unemployment, on business and on education and a host of other issues. That's really it. That was longer than I wanted to speak, but I wanted to remind you all of what all's happening up there. Since we're not in session, we're still trying to make use of our time. We're all taking advantage of Zoom, though the legislature uses something called Blue Jeans, but it's still a video sort of conference app. But we're still doing the work of the people. And if you need us, to reach out to any one of us in the Pinarale region so that we know what we can do to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Appreciate that. Appreciate the update. I think I looked over and I apologize. Jason Hazard, are you on there from Senator Rand Paul's office?
Yes, I'm here.
I am so sorry. I'll turn the floor over to you right now.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here for Senator Paul. Senator Paul remains very focused on trying to find ways to open the economy and get the Commonwealth back to work. He had a Zoom call with superintendents from around Kentucky this morning to talk about the issues of reopening, to see where districts and private schools and Christian schools are at as we head towards the opening. And I'm sure we'll all look forward to seeing what happens with the governor this afternoon. Senator Paul introduced some legislation last week. It's called the Pandemic Pay For Act that would help cover $2 trillion of the emergency spending that's happened so far this year on COVID. And it would be accomplished simply by freezing discretionary spending for the 2021 budget through 2024. Senator Paul always remains concerned that our deficits are growing and that at some point we're not going to have the money that we need for things like Fort Campbell, for our roads and our water projects. And he simply wants the government to try to live within its means while also helping people. And that's my report. Thank you.
All right, Jason, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Mr. Elton Thomas from Department of Local Government.
Good afternoon, everyone. Update's going to be brief. You all are all tracking what the governor speaking about every day at Forum's Brief. Make sure you watch this afternoon. He's going to provide another update, basically as the coronavirus cases are starting to move a little bit, not in the direction that we want. You're already tracking roughly about 34,000, almost up to about 35,000 confirmed cases. You should have received a phone call or be receiving a phone call from me showing that for judges, who your CARES funds are starting to trickle down, and they should be hitting your bank accounts. I don't want to say that appropriate way, but saying you should be having some notification reference to that. Also, don't forget we're still focusing on infrastructure while you guys are, while we're going through the pandemic. Utilize all the loans and grants that are available to you, and to keep everybody safe and understanding what's going on and keep their anxieties down. You're tracking that the Kentucky State Fair will be participant only due to the situation. And also there will be further guidance on the covering for kids. It's going to be handed down by First Lady Bashir. More on that, if you're not going to go online, you can find out more about it. It's going to give face coverings directly to the school districts for the kids. That is all I have, sir. And thank you all and appreciate your leadership, and continue to practice good social distancing. And stated if as leaders, we should be doing it, and then everybody else will fall in line. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Appreciate the update. Appreciate your report from the Department of Local Government. Also on the call, I think, is Ms. Denitra Henderson from Transportation, District 2 Chief. Denitra, are you there? Do you have any updates for us?
I am on here and I can update a little. We are following Governor Bashir's mandate that we should telework whenever possible. So Transportation Cabinet employees are, at least District 2 is nearly 100% telework. However, business should be carrying on as usual. So if you need someone at the Transportation Cabinet and you don't have their contact information, please reach out to me. Most of our employees like the flexibility of telework, and let them know that if they want this to be an option of some form and fashion in the future, that we need to keep the train on the tracks. So seems to be doing that. Again, a lot of us don't like 100% telework, so we are excited to get back to the office at some point someday. But this is where we are now. And again, if anyone has any transportation cabinet issues and you've had trouble reaching someone, just let me know. So there was an estimated $160 million shortfall on the transportation budget before the end of the last fiscal year. And we went through some severe cuts to try to meet that expected budget shortfall. We were able to make that happen due to postponing some resurfacing projects. So if any of your counties experienced that, I do apologize, but we could not go into the red with our overall budget. So we ended up with a $56 million shortfall in the transportation budget. And a lot of people ask me, so what are you doing with that extra $104, $105 million? And there is no extra. That was money that we would not have otherwise had. So we aren't as short as we would have been. There's not $100 million sitting around out there that we're ready to spend. So as far as what happens to that money, some of it is in reserves, waiting to see what the virus does throughout the fall so that we don't have to go through another set of extreme cuts if traveling and the gas tax revenues come in shorter again. And then some of the projects that we would have postponed are now going to be able to resume. So what we're doing now is any projects that were scheduled to be let, we are trying to schedule those bigger multi-million-dollar projects in specific lettings, and then filling in along the way. I have a visitor here. Filling in along the way to meet our budget each month. So I don't have specific reports on what will be happening each month, but we're just trying to make those happen as we go. If my visitor didn't have a neon green shirt on, he might be able to hide a little bit better. So again, thank you all for being patient with us. And again, work should be continuing as normal. So if you're having any issues with any transportation cabinet business, please let me know.
Deidre, thank you very much. If you have any extra money in District 2, I can find some roads in Trigg County that I could put them on, and they are state roads, by the way.
Well, you'll have to get that money from Kyle. I don't have any extra in my mind.
Thank you for the update. Also on the line, I think, is no stranger to the transportation cabinet, and he's back with them, and that's no stranger to anybody probably on this call either, and that's Mr. Doug Taylor. Doug, are you there?
I am, Judge. Thank you very much. And from the local roads department of Rural Roads and Municipal Aid, I can always good to follow Demetra. She did a wonderful job of explaining where we're at from a budgetary standpoint. State and federal highway situations obviously still always go through her. Your county and municipal road programs, I'll be working with you. I think most of you on here probably have had some experience with me in the past. If not, we've got mutual friends. I will post my cell number and email address in the chat when I get through with this little talk, and encourage each of you to contact me if you've got specific questions. Local roads is not a lot different position than what Demetra described the state and federal programs in as well. We all utilize the same monies, and we're kind of in a holding pattern right now. Your flex numbers are in almost to the point. Some of you may have already been made aware of those to what to expect in the upcoming years, the upcoming year. But if not, those will be made available hopefully by next week. They are slightly less than you probably got last year for the exact same reasons that Demetria explained. I'll post my contact info in the chat for everyone here in a second, and encourage, if you got any questions about any of the programs that Rural Roads and Municipal Aid monitor and maintain, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. If you've got some backlogged things, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. We'll try to figure out where they're at and get things going. Again, thank you very much, Judge, for the introduction, and I will talk to everyone soon.
Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. And Doug is certainly no stranger to any of those programs, and he can explain them to you very well if you have any questions of him. Our regular reports, community and economic development, Miss Amy Froh, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Judge. The
The next item on your all's agenda, if you'll click on that, it's titled the CARES RLF Plan Update. You all have heard me talk over the course of the last several months regarding some additional loan funds that we will be receiving from the Economic Development Administration to create a COVID-19 microloan program for the 9-county Penny Ryle region. We have received our award document and contract from EDA. And as part of that award contract, some of the specific award conditions require us to adopt a separate RLF revolving loan fund plan from the plan that we have in place through our regular RLF program. So what you see attached there is what we're calling the short form. And this short form essentially outlines the amendments that we have made over the last couple of months regarding our revolving loan fund plan, amending it to include provisions for us to make these small loans at an expedited process and to be used for things such as working capital, rent payments, utilities, and items of that nature that these small businesses need to continue operation during this time. So you'll see on that one page there, it outlines the counties that we cover. Again, the range in the loans will be $5,000 to $25,000. The minimum interest rate that we have set for this program is 0.5%. So our loans will range anywhere from 0.5% up to 2.44% for these loans. It is a 36-month repayment period on these loans. Collateral is a little bit more flexible than our traditional program, and we do not have to require evidence that credit is not otherwise available, which is a stipulation of our traditional loan program. So with that, do you all have any questions in adopting this revolving loan fund plan specific for our new EDA dollars, which will be in the amount of $690,000 to loan out over the course of the next 24 months?
Anybody have any questions of Amy? And Amy, you said we have to adopt a resolution?
This is a one-page loan fund plan summary. And
okay.
This one-page summary essentially outlines the provisions for the CARES Act dollars, and then our traditional loan program, our revolving loan fund program outline will be attached to this document as an attachment.
Okay. So we need a motion and a second on that.
Mayor Cotton, I'll give you a motion.
Got a motion? Do I hear a second?
Judge Whitfield, I'll second.
We got a second. Any questions? All in favor by saying aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign? Hear none. Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
If you all will please keep this in mind as you're out talking to small businesses in your respective cities and counties, let them know that this is available. We are currently going through the procurement process on hiring an individual that will be housed within our office to help us market and put this program into place, along with some other activities, planning activities that we'll update you on in the near future. The second item I have is our intergovernmental review report. If you'll see there on that attachment, we've had 8 projects come through the clearinghouse over the course of the last 30 days or so. Many of these were applications submitted under the Community Development Block Grant or CDBG program for the 2020 funding year, along with some water and sewer improvement projects that are being submitted through the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority Board. These projects have been sent out to each board member from those respective communities for review, but we just wanted to provide you with that report for your all's reference. Do I have any questions on that? If I don't have any questions, that completes my report, Judge.
Ms. Amy Frog, thank you very much. Appreciate your report. We'll move to the next report, Area Agency on Aging and Independent Living, Mrs. Jill Collins.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The first item on the agenda for the Area Agency on Aging is the waiting list. And you have access to that on the link that Sherry sent out. And that just shows you the numbers for the wait list per service, per county. So if you have any questions about that for your county, you can let me know. I will mention that the home delivered meal wait list, if you remember at the beginning of the COVID, we are still serving everyone on the wait list that wants a meal. If they were on the wait list in March and they wanted a meal, then we have added them to the home delivered meals. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. The next item is just some information that is also on the link regarding the Walk to End Alzheimer's. Those processes and functions are still taking place, and we are working with our planning committee locally on the Walk to End Alzheimer's for Hopkinsville, and we will be reporting more on that as we move further along in that process and what that might look like in our area when it comes time for the walk. Belinda Babb is the staff member in our agency that is coordinating the efforts on behalf of Pennyroyal Area Development District. Just real quick, I wanted to give an update on the COVID cases in our long-term care facilities. The Pennyroyal Area Development District employs the long-term care ombudsman for the district, and she investigates complaints and concerns on behalf of residents in our long-term care facilities. And right now, we are currently reporting 5 facilities that have COVID cases, and we're getting an update on those numbers on a weekly basis. And so right now we are showing 5 out of our 30 facilities that have reported an active COVID case. Okay, so the main thing I wanted to speak about today is our nutrition program. And so when COVID started, we were instructed by the Department for Aging and Independent Living in Frankfurt to serve anyone age 60 and over that wanted a home delivered meal. And so we have been doing that, and we've been paying for that with some COVID dollars and some of the CARES dollars. And so we are watching that very closely as the number of new clients that we have added and the number of meals that we are serving continues to grow. As of August the 7th, we have added a total of 715 new clients to our nutrition program. Currently, we have 566 of those receiving a COVID meal, and 149 have chosen to come off of the meal for whatever reason. But we're still serving all the others. And so right now, our funding includes the CARES dollars for those meals for the new people that we have added. And then we still continue to have our home care and Title III meal program, which is operating the same as always. But what our concern is the number of meals that we're serving under the CARES program and the amount of money that we have through the CARES program and the amount of time that we think that money is going to last. So when you look at adding over 700 new clients, we're serving 5 meals per week per client at a little over $9 per meal. So we're going through that money very quickly. And so I wanted to make the board aware of that and aware that we are watching those numbers. And right now, the client can choose to remove themselves from the meal, but we can't remove them from the meal on our own decision. So with that, I have Hayla Swaw on the call, who is our finance staff member. Hayla, are you on here?
I am here.
Okay, and Hayla, I wanted you to speak just briefly about the dollars and the time frame that we're looking at based on our most recent projections.
Okay, based on the number of meals that we have served in July, which is pretty close to an average for what we also served in May and June. It looks like, based on all the funding that we have available through CARES, COVID, and our regular fiscal year allocations, then we are looking at getting to maybe through part of December with the current meal load that we have right now, which obviously is not ideal as we want to get through June. But that is where I am projecting it being if we cannot reduce our meal load or add more funding to our current situation.
Currently, we're averaging about 1,100 meals per day. Pre-COVID, we were averaging just a little over 500 meals per day. So we've really more than doubled the number of meals that we're serving through a nutrition program. And so that is something that we are watching. We are waiting on instruction from the Department for Aging and Independent Living in Frankfurt on what to expect as far as any additional CARES funding that may or may not be coming our way to continue to support those meals. So does anyone have any questions about our nutrition program or the situation that we're monitoring regarding the CARES meals?
We definitely wanted to make sure you all were aware of the situation that we find ourselves in, not only as leaders of our region, but also as we know that many of you all are our board members, also serve as board members of PACs. And we have been communicating this information with PACs on a regular basis. However, we wanted to make sure you all were aware of this as well. Obviously, we want to make sure that we continue to provide the services that are needed, as we fully understand this is the most vulnerable population as it pertains to this virus. But we also realize, as Jill stated, at $9 a meal and that many meals per week, that's a lot of money that's being spent each week and each month on meals. And we are concerned at this point. We also know, other regions across the state utilize maybe national providers for meals, frozen meals, where they can just call their provider and say, we're done getting meals from you. We also understand that PACS is a local agency, and that any change that we have to make also impacts that local agency and impacts you all as a board member of that agency and your communities. So we're just being very mindful of this situation, and continually, Hayla and Jill and all of the other staff, they're doing an excellent job keeping an eye on this situation. But again, we just wanted to make sure you all were aware of where we find ourselves, and that hopefully we'll be gaining additional direction from the Department for Aging and Independent Living and the governor's office on how we proceed and what changes we can make to make sure that these services can last on past December.
And as far as our communication with the Department for Aging and Independent Living, we have a Zoom call with them every other week, and they provide us their updates. And so tomorrow is our next scheduled call with that group. And so we may actually receive some updates tomorrow regarding the CARES dollars and the instruction on the nutrition program. So if there aren't any other questions, that completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Jason, both. We'll move to the next report, Workforce Activity Report. Ms. Sheila Clark.
Thank you, Judge. I hope everyone can hear me fine. We are looking at your packet of information and we'll draw your attention to some information pieces in it. And then, of course, I'll try to make a few comments on unemployment insurance, as that seems to be the topic of the moment. Even though we don't process it or pay it, I can share with you the public knowledge that we have about some items. In the packet, you'll find the labor market snapshot that now will show you a period there of the last few months when the labor market unemployment rates were the highest, and you can see some comparisons there as that has changed. Our major manufacturers have brought back a lot, I won't say all, but a lot of their workers. There are still some that might be missing one shift. A lot of our small business is still not open, or they're only open to curbside assistance. So we're still seeing a few numbers there. Some employees and some businesses are working behind closed doors without direct access to the public and doing services on the phones. So that is reflected in some of those numbers that you see on those few pages. The other piece I would mention is our career centers. Of course, they're still closed to the face-to-face public services, but we do have cell phones with all of our career coaches where we can continue to verify eligibility for our program and put people on the job training contracts or start our enrollment in the youth programs. And I'll show you some references to our youth programs in just a moment. That's also in the packet today. Probably one of the biggest discussions right now is the unemployment insurance, and of course what the president signed in executive orders over the weekend. Unfortunately, we have no more details on any of that than you do as the public listening to it on the media reporting it. We did have some information because some of you all had asked about it that we saw in a USA Today report. Part of it was on Thursday and part of it was on Friday. And this is from their review of unemployment data. And that made a comment that about 33% of the individuals that were receiving UI made more with their UI payment than their previous wage. But that would be those service industries that might have been augmented by tips or other non-wage payments that would increase their take-home pay. We also found that in the comment that looking at individuals that were in a challenge of keeping their homes, that about 40% of the individuals that were drawing UI felt like their house was threatened because of a mortgage payment or that their apartment or dwelling was in danger of being lost because of their financial situation. So I wanted to lay those 2 or 3 things out there. In the packet, you'll also see that our National Dislocated Worker Grant that we can use to help individuals that are either unemployed or temporarily unemployed that were laid off through this period of April, May, June, even now. We can assist them by putting them on what we're calling the Employment Recovery Program. And you'll see it with a little red cross on it. We're trying to help that represent COVID and kind of do a take on that to make everybody understand that these employment opportunities are a part of the recovery, and they're opportunities that our local officials, our nonprofit groups, as well as individuals that are just wanting training could take a part of. In this, you'll see a flyer on the job training programs that are for business and for industry. We're looking at these being directly with employers. We also have opportunities with our local officials and looking at work experience opportunities where individuals may be assisting with humanitarian efforts. And those efforts may be activities like food banks, It may be activities as meal preparation or delivery or other assistance to individuals during this time of need. We also have, that's not in the packet, work experience activities that the cities and counties can deploy with individuals. Of course, many of the individuals now may not be eligible for the new unemployment additional benefits. So we may find more people that are trying to reach our career centers to find jobs. And we try to post those job opportunities on our Facebook page or on the internet to make them available to the individuals that might be seeking assistance, since in some instances, our career centers are closed to direct local calls. And that's something that we've been talking to the cabinet about and trying to make some changes with. We also have had some conversations with Secretary Roberts about our assistance with unemployment. As I said, we don't approve it, we don't process it, we don't pay them. But in the face-to-face unemployment assistance that was given around the state, in our local area, we did help to bring people into the site, help with directing them toward lines, making sure they had proper credentials, and some of those things that we could assist with without actually being a part of that unemployment insurance work. We also have in the packet, I might say that the business liaisons, as well as myself, will be contacting the nonprofits, the local governments, business and industry with information on if they're interested, how they can apply for a work experience individual, an on-the-job training individual, or other assistance. In the packet, you'll see 3 flyers in the packet. And these flyers all talk about 3 of the 4 youth programs that we have in the West Kentucky area. One is with West Kentucky Community and Technical College, and that would serve some of the Pinheiral counties as well. And then we have the Youth Workforce Connections at Hopkinsville Community College, and then we have the Workforce Connections from Madisonville Community College. And all of them are recruiting right now. And if you know of individuals in your area or youth groups in your area that can make referrals to them, then you may share this with them or get in contact with Julie Allen, and she can answer their questions and give them additional information. I'll stop at this point, Judge, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila Clark. Does anybody have any questions for Sheila? All right, moving right along to new business, monthly code of ethics report. Jason, is anything to report on there?
Judge, we have no report there.
All right. Next, West Kentucky Coalition, we turn it over to Judge Jack Whitfield from Hopkins County. Jack?
Hey, so again, as Jason said earlier, Perry's not here. He would normally be doing this, but he's not here today. So a little bit of history. This really kind of started, I guess, due to my inexperience, because I had a couple of calls from Congressman Comer and Senator Paul asking about what they could do during this pandemic, and my inexperience in this office, and I guess all of our inexperience with this pandemic got me asking, hey, I may need to ask some of the judges that have more experience what kind of help that they know of we might need as a region. And from that call, I'm not even sure who came up with it, came the thought of trying to get together as a group of counties, judges, and mayors. So what we've done is got the 3 West Kentucky ads, Pennyrile Purchase and Green River. And the chairman of those ads and myself have been meeting to talk about what we can do to try to have a stronger voice for Western Kentucky. So I think everybody should have got a letter from Judge Newcomb and a handout that I think the ad sent out. I don't know with Jason, which one do we have on the screen, or can we get one of them on the screen?
We don't have it on the screen, but you can access it via the agenda. You can click on the coalition flyer, or you can click on the draft bylaws as well.
So in the letter that Perry had sent out, in the second paragraph, it says the purpose of this coalition is to provide a platform from which the westernmost counties of this great Commonwealth can come together to share and promote a common and coordinated level of support on issues that affect our region at the local, state, and federal level, and that we will use our collective voice to ensure our needs are heard in Frankfort and Washington, and we will strive to see leadership positions filled by Western Kentucky legislators and ensure consideration is given to Western Kentucky projects. So that's from that letter. And then like I say, everybody should have the one-page handout that talks about the purpose, the mission statement, vision statement. And it's got annual dues and some contact information on there. There it is. So you can see the purpose of what we had in mind trying to get this together, to share and promote a common and coordinated level of support on issues that affect our region. We want to be a unified voice to express the desires and needs of Western Kentucky to our state and federal legislators. And to, we know in discussing this, there are hundreds of issues that we all face as individual cities and counties, and each one of us are different, and we'll never come together as a group on each issue. However, there are some issues that affect us region-wide. There are a lot of, we've seen Eastern Kentucky and the Golden Triangle get a tremendous amount of support, and sometimes it feels as though it's at the expense of Western Kentucky. The goal with this group is to ensure that Western Kentucky is taken into consideration when grants or different monies or support or even legislation that affects the regions differently come up. So we wanted to come together as a group to start a coalition so that we could speak with one voice. Again, we know that not every issue are we all going to agree on. So this is going to be kind of a high level group and not so much down in the weeds, but issues that affect us all. Even on those big issues, we may not be able to come together in 100% agreement. So we've sent out the bylaws for everybody to look at. Obviously, this group is not officially started, so these bylaws can be amended and changed going forward. I guess what this is just to inform that we are looking to start this group to find out what level of support we would have from the cities and the counties in the 3-AD region that we're talking about. Part of that support you'll see on this handout down toward the bottom is the annual dues, because we would look to hire a part-time executive director, put together some meetings where we can come together and talk about stuff if we can ever get together as a group again. But the dues are certainly not onerous for most of us. $1,000 a year for counties with 30,000 or more and cities of 10,000 or more, $500 for counties of 10,000 to 30 or $29,999, and cities 3,000 to 9,999 or $250 for counties or cities under those limits. And that would be open to any city and county in those 3-AD regions that want to be involved. We would also plan on having associate members, and that could be businesses or chambers or economic development entities to come together to support this coalition. I think we would like to get together as a group, if it's at all possible, in September here in Madisonville at the Ballard Center. I've got that worked out where we can get that building, and we can probably fit 100 to 200 people in there and stay socially distant. I'm tired of that term, but we still have to use it to discuss the beginning of this coalition. Like I say, this is just a kind of informing of the thoughts of the ads and myself, what we may be able to do to have a more powerful and stronger voice in Frankfort and DC. So I guess what I would ask is to let Jason probably know whether you would support the formation of an organization like this. Is that okay with you, Jason, if you kind of become the clearinghouse for that?
Sure.
I think it would be good if we're able to have a mostly unified voice in West Kentucky. And I think it would help to push our state and federal legislators when we have things that affect all of us, especially with some of the more experienced voices that we've got in this region. Has anybody got any comments on that or thoughts on what you've seen so far about this group?
Judge Whitfield, I'd just like to say I appreciate your efforts and anything or
Uh-oh, did we lose him?
I think we've lost him.
I think Hollis was trying to say he's for it, and so am I.
I think I'm back. I lost you all for just a minute. I was trying to say thank you, Jack, and I appreciate your efforts on that. I do think it's something that is long overdue. I think I heard Wade chime in there that he's for it, and I'm 100% for it.
You know, I'd say it's flexible in its makeup and organization. But if everybody's okay, we'll try to set that first meeting up. I think it was September 23rd. Is that the date we were looking at, Jason? And I think generally we get a better turnout if we have lunch or at least some kind of food. Everybody shows up for the food. So we'll probably try to do a lunch.
I think Hollis will come if we've got food. So that's a good idea.
You can count on that. That's just a few days before my birthday. So, Jack, we're going to be in your county. I expect a birthday cake when I'm there also.
I'll make a note of that.
All right. Any other questions or comments of Judge Whitfield? Thank you again, Judge. I appreciate it. Director's report, Jason Vincent.
Thank you, Judge. I'll be very brief. We do have a couple of corporate resolutions that you will find attached to your board packet, and we do need to approve those separately. The first being reference to what Amy discussed earlier with our EDA RLF COVID loan plan. And this corporate resolution does allow us to, authorizes us to open a checking account for these funds. So Judge, we will need approval from the board to authorize this first corporate resolution, please.
It's Mayor Cotton. I'll make that motion.
Mayor Yance, I second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor by saying aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign? We hear none. Motion carries, Jason.
The second corporate resolution deals directly with the West Kentucky Coalition that Judge Jack Whitfield just discussed. We have been asked, the Pennyrile Area Development District has been asked to serve as the fiscal agent for the coalition until an executive director is hired and they have the ability to maintain those funds for themselves. And so until that time, we will be the ones accepting those dues, and we will house those in a Pennyrile Ad checking account. So we would ask you all also to authorize us to open up a checking account for the West Kentucky Coalition.
So moved, Todd Mansfield.
Got a motion by Judge Mansfield.
Second.
Got a second. I'm not sure who seconded, but we got one. I seen Mayor Yance, I think. Any discussion or any questions? All in favor of saying aye? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed by like sign? We hear none. Motion carries.
Just a couple of other items, Judge. As many of you all would know, at this time, we would be in full planning efforts of our annual Pride of the Pennyrile event, which is our industry appreciation event that we do each fall, typically the fourth Thursday in September. We have been having several communications, discussions with the Lake Barkley State Park and the golf course at Boots Randolph, talking with them about how we could possibly move forward with this event. I will say, basically from our discussions, we do know that the event will not happen as it has in years past. Should we decide to move forward with that event, it will more than likely look very different than in past. But obviously, we know that our business and industry have been struggling through this entire pandemic, and what better time to show appreciation for them. So I did want to let you all know that we are continuing to have discussions with the state park. We are continuing to look for ways that we can have the event in a safe manner. So stay tuned, and hopefully you'll be hearing more information about that in the very near future. And then lastly, Judge, I wanted just to say that the ad office here continues to fully operate. Hopefully you are not seeing any lapses in services from our agency. Again, I just want to say a big thank you to our staff and their willingness to step up and do things differently and remain flexible on how we operate. But I don't think, unless one of you all tell me, I don't think we've missed a beat. So a big thank you to all of our staff, and a big thank you to all of you for your continued support of our organization. I do also want to mention that those of you on our executive committee, we will probably have a special called executive committee meeting. It won't take very long, within the next couple of weeks, to talk about some personnel issues, mainly dealing with what Amy discussed earlier, and our EDA CARES money and our planning position that we are currently going through the RFP process for. So those of you on the executive committee, please be looking for the information on that. That will be happening in the next couple of weeks. Judge, that's all I have.
Jason, thank you, and hats off to you and your staff. You all have not missed a beat. As a matter of fact, you went above and beyond to make sure you went the extra mile during all this time, and we certainly appreciate that. I know Trigg County does, and I'm sure the rest of the counties and cities and everybody that's represented on the phone call appreciate that as well. Is there any other business to come before this board today? Anybody have anything else? All right. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Scott Marshall.
Motion adjourned. I hear a second.
Second.
Second. We stand adjourned. Thank you all. Jason, appreciate you again, and appreciate everybody that joined in on the virtual meeting today. Thanks.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.